Hey you all, Carpetbagger here, coming to you live from the South, more specifically, Charleston, South Carolina. This is absolutely one of my favorite cities in all of the South. It's full of beautiful, historic churches, beautiful, historic cemeteries, and I'm going to show you two of my absolute favorite cemeteries, the Circular Church Cemetery and the Unitarian Cemetery. Now behind me here is the Circular Church, called the Circular Church because of its circular shape. And legend has it that it was made in this circular shape because the devil hides in the corners. Now one thing that you'll notice right off the bat, and one of my favorite things, this is so cool to me, these old gravestones have angels on them, but not angels in maybe the sense that you traditionally think. Now, as you can see, this angel portrayed as a skull with wings. Now some of these angels do have human faces, but somehow they're no less creepy. Now this little piece of nothing you see here is actually one of the oldest graves in the eastern United States. It dates back to 1640, making it one of the oldest, if not the oldest grave. This is the grave of Reverend Reuben Post, a fan of the game of chess, and he made his wife, and his daughter's grave into chess pieces. Let's check out this crib here with these keyholes. You can actually see inside if you want to take a peek. Now this is a little odd. Most of these gravestones date back to the 17 and 1800s. This one is actually 1999. Ezra Albert Smith, born and died on the same day. Someone has left a gullah rose here on his gravesite. Now here is a variation of the skulls with wings. Actually have a skull, an hourglass, and crossbones. And I was told to me the crossbones actually denote that the person died from a serious illness. Actually like telling someone to stay away from the grave or they might get sick. There's some spare gravestones if anyone needs them. Here lies interred the body of Mary Owen. And there she is. Alright, and here we are at the Unitarian Church in Charleston, South Carolina, the oldest Unitarian church in the South, with one of the most amazing cemeteries in all of America. And one of the things I absolutely love about the Unitarian Cemetery is they just allow the wild plants, the wildflowers, to grow over top the graves, through the tombstones. Just absolutely beautiful. In memory of the enslaved workers who made these bricks and helped build our church. Now that's nice. It's nice to throw the slaves a bone every once in a while and actually recognize how much labor they've actually done here in the South. Okay, so one popular legend here at the Unitarian Cemetery involves none other than Edgar Allan Poe, who was stationed here at Fort Moultrie. The legend goes that Annabel Lee, from the famous poem Annabel Lee, was a real woman here in Charleston, South Carolina, that she fell in love with Edgar Allan Poe, and he fell in love with her likewise, but her rich father did not want her to marry the drunken, rabies-infested Edgar Allan Poe. So when she died of consumption, her rich father buried her in this cemetery in an unmarked grave so that Edgar Allan Poe would not be able to visit that grave. What a bastard. What a bastard would do something like that. Speaking of unmarked graves, the other famous person buried here in the Unitarian Cemetery is also supposedly in an unmarked grave. One of America's first female serial killers, Lavinia Fisher. Now, Lavinia and her husband, they ran a boarding house outside of Charleston that was notorious for poisoning their guests and murdering their guests with hatchets and burying their bodies in the back of the boarding house. So eventually, after burying hundreds of bodies in the back of their boarding house, they were finally caught and sentenced to death. Lavinia pointed out to the judge that she could not be executed because it was illegal to execute a married woman in the state of South Carolina. So, the judge remedied this problem quite easily by hanging her husband first and then scheduled her hanging for the very next day. And legend says, during her hanging, she wore her wedding dress and was marched through the streets of Charleston in her wedding dress. When she was hung, or being prepared to be hung, they put the noose around her neck. A huge crowd gathered around, and she said, "If anyone has any words for the devil, tell them to me now, because I'll be dining with him in 5 minutes." And then she jumped off the pillory, not even waiting for the door to drop, and hung herself. Now that is an evil woman. And it is said, since none of the other churches here in Charleston would take her, it was said the Unitarians, they'll take anyone. So they said Lavinia was buried here in an unmarked grave. So Annabel Lee and Lavinia Fisher sharing the very same cemetery. I've actually crossed over. We're now in the Lutheran Cemetery next to the Unitarian Cemetery. Gravestones built into the walkway here. I don't know how respectful that is. Look at that really old one built right there next to the drain pipe. You guys got to check this out. This is probably the coolest gravestone that I have ever personally seen. Take a look at this. Look at that. It says Memento Mori. It means reminder of death. Look at that skull and crossbones. That is gorgeous. Now I'd read it to you, but it's actually written in a foreign language. I believe that is German, possibly. Make out that, I think, born 1734, died 1809. If anyone understands what languages that is, let me know. But just feast your eyes on that. I appreciate you guys watching. For more Southern culture and other random things, check out my website, www.thecarpetbagger.org.